Hi everyone, and welcome to this tips and tricks video. Today we're going to tackle a workflow in which you need to collect bank information, usually a routing number and a bank account number, and then you need to use that information or that data in a contract that you need the client to sign, authorizing you to access that bank account, say for example. Now this same structure can be used for many different pieces of data that you need to collect and then use in something like a contract. But let's go ahead and look at how we might be able to make a very smooth workflow and automate this process. So to collect the information, we'll need to use a form, and then the strategy will be to use that form in a flow and then run the client through a flow where they will provide the information and then be triggered to sign the contract that includes that information. So all that will become clear. But for now, let's just create the first building block that we need for the structure, and that would be the form. So when we click Create Form, we see that there's an intake form, an update form, and a general usage form option. Intake forms will add new contacts to your CRM. This is for contacts that are not yet in your CRM. You're trying to add them in as a prospect or as a client, just putting them in your funnel. When they complete the form, they enter your CRM. This form, though, however, is the one we're going to use today because we are actually going to implement this workflow for existing contacts. So again, without getting too far into this, there will be other resources that can help explain these three, but we'll be using the CRM update form. So let's click Update Forms. And we're going to call this Bank Account Collection Form. And just to keep this simple, we're just going to create two quick custom fields. Bank routing number is a single line text area that they will fill in. We're going to leave all these options just default and click Add. And now I'll create the other custom field. Okay, let's save that. Okay, so now we have a form that will collect the routing number and the account number, and that's what we need. Let's scroll down a bit. Let's just go ahead and click Save. Now that we have the form, let's go to Flows. So here in Flows, we're going to create a flow. You have two different types. Onboarding is for brand new users. On-demand is for existing users. We want to use an on-demand flow. We're going to assign this to existing users, and let's call this, we're going to call this Bank Account Collection Flow. And when we create a flow, we can add flow steps, which can be any number of these steps in any order that we like to accomplish the goal that we need. We always recommend starting off with the content flow step. So in this step, you're just telling your client what this flow is about, what this process is meant to do. And in this case, we'll be collecting your bank information. Let us know if you have any questions. You can insert videos here. You can insert images here. You can use any of these placeholders here. So this is a step where you just explain what's coming next. And of course, that's optional, just something that we recommend. All right, let's make a second step. Here we're going to use that form. This is where we're going to actually collect the information. And this is the form step we have. And now we're going to select the form that we're going to use here. And of course, the one we want to select is the bank account collection form. Now it's important to understand that you can only use update forms in flows because we are never creating a new contact with a flow. We're either onboarding a contact that's already been created, or we are presenting this flow to a contact that's created and already logged in. But regardless, it always needs to be an update form, and that's something to remember. Only CRM update forms will be listed here. Okay, so let's go ahead and get a little more explicit, and let's name these steps. So this will be the bank account information step, and we can just copy that into the step title. And then here we can say this is the intro, and here we'll say securely submit your bank information. And this step title is actually what the client will see as they proceed through the flow. Okay, so we have that step titled, and this one is titled. So now let's add our final step, which will be the read and e-sign step. And here we'll just call this sign to accept. And then here we're going to edit the content that they will read And I'll just go ahead and insert some content. So here we have the legal agreement around the bank account information. And the client will see that they're going to authorize the company to initiate entries to the checking account identified by the following numbers. And here's where we're going to insert dynamically these numbers. So from here, we're going to insert the routing number and the bank account number. Okay, so we added routing here for routing number. I guess we could just say routing number and account number, and then the placeholders are in place. We're going to save that. And then down here, there's a custom confirmation message. There's already a default legal statement here, and you'll see how that works in a minute, but you are able to customize this if you need to. And of course, there are other options here. You'll see those here, and then we can also assign actions if we'd like. But for now, just to keep things simple, let's just click Save. Okay, so now you have a bank account collection flow. It's an on-demand flow. Let's go ahead and look inside it, and let's look at a preview. So in the preview, we can see that we kept it simple. There's not a lot of complex formatting here. We can also see that we might want to make this text a little smaller so it fits just on one line. So maybe some creativity there as far as the text goes. We are in preview mode, so you'll notice that placeholders are not replaced. But as we move through this flow, you'll see the form is here. Well, they'll complete this form, and then they'll move on to the next step, which is where they'll sign and accept. These data placeholders will be filled in, and then down here, they'll just go ahead and enter their signature. And all is dynamically inserted and signed, and then they can confirm their signature. Again, this is a preview, so we won't submit this. But let's now look at how we can assign this to the client. All right, here we are back at the flow. Before we assign this to a client and show how that works, I want to illustrate a few more settings. If you go here to settings, you'll be able to affect how the flow is presented. You can actually show it in full width, and then that will eliminate the background color. Or if you prefer to show it in a boxed layout, you can set that background color to be anything that you'd like. So for example, let's go back to the preview. Here is the box layout, and you'll see this is the background color, so you can set this color to a background color that you prefer. Or I'll now show the full width view. Okay, and here's the full width. Also, you'll notice that we made a few changes to shorten this title, as we said, so it fits on one line. Added a little more styling and content here in this first step where we explain what the customer or client can expect. So this one is ready to go. Let's go ahead and assign it to a client. Okay, so here we are in the client list, and we'll test today using Milton Wheatley. And he's a good test subject. We can see that he's already logged in, he's created his account, he's accepted the invitation. In contrast, down here you can see Leslie Abbott. She has not accepted the invitation. We can see invited status here, which means the invitation was sent, but it has not yet been accepted. She has not clicked that confirmation link and set her password. And what this also means is that the platform will not send her any notification emails until she's confirmed that email address and accepted the invitation. And what that means in the context of this video is if I assign a flow to her, that she won't receive the email notification, and therefore she won't know that she's been assigned anything. So it's important to remember that if you are ready to move on and assign things like flows or create invoices, etc., that for you to interact with your client will need to have accepted the invitation and have a last login date here, which, if that's the only thing they did, would be the date that they accepted the invitation and set their password. Okay, so with that said, here's Milton Wheatley. We're going to assign a flow to Milton Wheatley. We could do it from here. Or if we were in Milton Wheatley's contact dashboard, let's just say I just got off the phone with him, let him know about the ACH authorization form, and said that I would send that right over. So I'm in the dashboard. I'll just scroll down to Assign On-Demand Flow. I'll click this button. Here I'll select the flow that we designed for that purpose and click Assign On-Demand Flow. And so that's been accomplished. And now Milton will receive an email notification and also a notification in his notification panel. So let's go over and look at what Milton will see from the email standpoint and also from inside the platform. All right, here we are at portal.madmax.studio, the custom URL and custom login for this white labeled account. And now our client's going to log in and we'll see what they see. Let's go ahead and fill in that login information. Okay, there it is. And also keep in mind that if your clients are not very tech savvy or don't like passwords, they can always use Magic Link. That's a very simple and straightforward option for them. But in this case, let's just log in directly. We're going to log in. And now Milton Wheatley, the client, is logged in. If we look at the top right-hand corner in the notification panel, if he were to open that notification panel, he would see that he was assigned to the flow bank account collection flow, and when it was received, etc. And just clicking this link will take him directly to the flow. And in addition to that notification, Milton will receive an email notification with a link to log in and complete the flow. And just to be clear, every email notification is customizable inside SuiteDash. So if you want to customize how this email appears to your clients, the text, the language, you can do that. That's no problem at all. And he would just have to click here to access the flow. In this case, I'm going to copy this link location and then load it in the same browser that I'm logged in as the client. Let's do that now. I'm going to paste and go. And as long as the client is already logged in, he'll enter immediately into the flow. So hi Milton, this is your data placeholder replacing with the first name, and of course if you sent this to another client, their first name would be there. He reads, he says, okay, all I have to do is click continue. Let's do that. All right, now I'm going to enter my routing number and bank information. And of course this is not real banking information. You will notice on the left side that these steps have a green check beside them to show the progress. Let's click continue. Notice the information here that was just entered. It's now going to be replicated directly in the read and e-sign. So now this information was carried from the last step into this step. And of course you could do that with just these 2 data points, or you could do that with 20, 30, 40 data points and carry them into this next step, this read and e-sign, to create the appropriate legal language. And then your client will agree to that by clicking here and typing their name, which is then automatically filled in on the sign here. This constitutes a digital signature and a legally binding signature in most jurisdictions, and then you'll just click Confirm Signature. And that will end the flow, redirect to the place that you indicated in the settings, and the flow has been completed and submitted. That signed PDF is now available to you, and the data is in the database. Let's just go back to the admin side and take a look. Here we are in the client list, and let's go to Milton Wheatley and look at the data associated with his account. If you scroll down, you'll see the 2 new custom fields that we have here, bank routing number, bank account number, and these are filled in and completed. And now we have all the data that we need for that, plus the agreement signed to draft that bank account, or whatever agreement that you have in this workflow. But this is just an example of a workflow where you're collecting data points that then are immediately turned around and used in an agreement that needs to be signed by your clients. All right, so we touched on quite a few different concepts there. I hope that was helpful. Thanks for sticking around for this tips and tricks. We'll see you in the next one.